Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. Brandon Love here with Tom Moffat. And today we have a special guest, Scott Sarai. Scott, you're a beauty. We've been connected with you for quite some time. I know you've had a tremendous growth trajectory recently. Going back a year ago, you were doing fulfillment and kind of thinking of exiting the industry. And now you're like fully rocking and rolling and crushing it. So thanks for coming on today and sharing your journey with everyone.
My pleasure, fellas. It's always nice to meet up with you guys. Longtime listener, first time guest.
Thanks, buddy. And I reached out to you because I was like, we talked to Wiley, we had him on the episode, and he was talking about a story of someone that was basically about to leave the industry, or at least thinking about it, and then just like all of a sudden turn it around. This is you, obviously. And we're like, man, how did he turn around so quick within 1 or 2 months? And his pipe is so full heading into the new year. So I was like, dude, we got to have a chat, see what you're doing. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in the same situation of what you were maybe 6 months ago. And I'd love to kind of just pick your brain and see what you're doing differently and kind of go from there.
No, for sure, man. I'm open book, so ask away.
Cool. Kind of give us some context, like when you started in the industry and kind of go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I got licensed in 2020 and I was part of Scott Peckford's 5 Steps to 5 Million course, which turned out to be the fundamentals for bricks. And I owe a lot of success to that kicking off point because I had no idea what brokering was. So I did that. And then I was able to pull on Scott Peckford's heartstrings to talk my way into 10 loans a month. Just with our first responder backgrounds, I just played to that story with him and he let me in. So I was in 10 loans a month, hadn't funded a mortgage yet, shelling out some cash for coaching, but I knew there was a better way to do this, that these experts had already carved the path that I want to go on. So I met up with this guy, Ryan Wiley, had no idea who he was, but he had some cool swagger to his step. He was coaching this webinar model, crush out 60 million a year, 12 hours a week. I was sold, right? So I did a quarter of coaching with him and I wanted more. So I did another quarter and he had reached out. He's like, hey man, I don't think you're going to get value in this group coaching call. Do you want private coaching? And I was like, shit, man, I haven't funded a mortgage. Like, how much money are you going to like grease me here for? To Ryan Wiley's credit, he's like, no, nothing, man. Like, you've already paid for 10 loans. We can do one-on-one private coaching if you're interested. So I got one-on-one access to Ryan Wiley before I even funded my first mortgage. So now we're 2 quarters in, the webinar model's up and running. My first year, I did about 12 million in volume, which I thought, was small potatoes. We're talking to people that are like, that's good for your first year. So I was loving life. And then when Ryan Wiley had purchased 10 loans a month from Scott Peckford, he approached me on coming over to do fulfillment for his book of business with the agent that he had trained in Ontario. And I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. And then somehow I lost the aggression to go into brokering and I started building out a fulfillment business because I realized it was minimal time spent, no realtors to handle, minimal client interaction. And I started building a fulfillment business handling all the fulfillment for brokers. So at its peak, it was a 6-figure business with, I think we had 6 brokers I was doing fulfillment for, and it was good. But the challenges I had was managing, let's just call it broker personalities. So 6 different brokers, 6 different business models, 6 different people. It was challenging. So I started basically firing brokers, ending relationships. And September, October of 2024, I was just at my breaking point. I had some things go on in the business where it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, I'm out, like I'm done. I have a background in the film industry. So in Vancouver here, it's a lucrative business, just like mortgage brokering. I was going to go back into it. I don't know how I got chatting with Ryan. I think Ryan was going to send an intro over for fulfillment to a broker. And I just was telling him like, I'm out, man. Like, I think I'm done. Like my license is up in October. I'm over it. Like I'm just so spent. And he was like, hey, look at me and the boys back east. We're building Tango, Ontario out. And I'm going to have my own brand under that. Like, come over, like, give me 6 months and like, let's see what you can do. And at the same time, my wife's mat leave was ending. We didn't have daycare lined up. That was another fail on my part, but she wasn't going to go back to work. And now the why got really strong for me. Like I have a wife, a daughter. The why is like, it's there. So I was like, you know what? Let's go. Like 6 more months, I'll give it to you. So with blind faith, as always, I would trust Ryan any time of the day. I joined him over on Team Wiley under you guys at Tango.
Nice. That's awesome. And taking that a step further, sort of, why don't you tell people what's come of that now, and then we'll unpack what you're doing differently now.
And just to give listeners context, Scott, you're a full-time firefighter still.
Yeah, I am. I am a full-time firefighter here in BC. That's how me and Tom kind of got connected originally. He was the guy ahead of me that was a firefighter entering the industry.
To hit 12 mil in your first year while working full time, that's pretty fucking great, man.
Yeah, that was a wild year. Like our department was on a different shift schedule at the time. So I was like 4 days a week at the fire department on top of brokering. And there was some early mornings and some late nights and just trying to learn. Like there's so much stuff to learn in your first year as a mortgage broker. Like they don't even prep you for what there is to learn. Like you can do your course at whatever school you do it at. You're fucked going into the industry. Like you don't have like the slightest clue on how to mortgage broker.
Yeah.
It's basically like getting thrown in the lake with no swimming lesson.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
you're just like, okay, swim to the side or you're dead.
So now it's been a wild ride, boys. Like I owe everything to my wife. She's been my biggest supporter. And then next to her would be Ryan Wiley. We all know him personally and he is a legend. Middle of October, me and Ryan had the conversation. By November, I was set up with my lenders. I was actually in a course for 5 weeks for the fire department in November. And then I was in Mexico for 3 weeks in December. With all that being said, as of the date of this recording, I have just 100,000 shy of 18 million funded.
Whew.
Wow. In 2025 alone.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing, man. That's like family life-changing income trajectory there.
It's a wild ride. Like I was talking with my wife yesterday about this over the weekend, and I had a goal. Like I wanted to replace her income and give us a buffer for like lifestyle upgrades. And I think it was about 10 million in all of 2025. And then she's like, what's the goal now? I'm meeting with Ryan probably before the time this podcast comes out to retool and refocus, but maybe 40 million, maybe 50. I have no idea. But to look at the numbers now and see that I'm 17.9 million in the last 5 months, it's surreal. Like I've been in the industry now for almost 5 years. And I've always looked at guys like you and all the other top names that like are in our worlds. And I'm like, I don't know how those guys do it. Like, how do they get that much consistent business? And now I'm drowning in it. And I had to hire a full-time assistant now. And she's been absolutely phenomenal. She's plug and play. And without her, I wouldn't be able to keep going at these paces.
Yeah, I remember that text. I got it from you 3 weeks ago. You're like, dude, I will never go back to not having fulfillment. It is a game changer.
Yeah, she is an active broker. And at some point, she's going to like go back to brokering. And I'm dreading that day. So hopefully my volumes can get to a point where I'm like, please don't go, just stay.
Yeah, here's a cushy job. So let's unpack that, man. Like in your eyes, your opinion, what did you set up or do differently from the get-go, from when you had that meeting with Ryan? Like what were some of the things you guys chatted about that made a huge pivot for you in your business?
For sure. Yeah. So I'm probably like every person in this industry, like the shiny object, ClickFunnels, webinars, social media. I get distracted and I get like, I don't know if lazy is the word, but I was doing social media. I'd do it for like a month and then I'm like, there's no revenue coming here. Like I'm done, and I'd stop. And then I'd do this for a month, stop. And it was just consistency, man. Like everyone that says consistency kills and the fortune's in the follow-up, like that's what it was. So for anyone that's not over at Tango, like I'm BC, but like the boys at Tango, Ontario, like I'd highly recommend you jump over today and don't wait a day longer. But Ryan is in Team Wiley. What he's posting out there, it's true. Like we just stripped all the noise out. I put blinders up. I got laser focused on what was going to move the needle. So I just did like simple things every single day to get the conversations flowing.
Nice. I'm assuming it's a set of like non-negotiables. What does it look like today and how has it evolved?
100%. So there's something about clicking a box on a Google spreadsheet that's so like therapeutic and like the greatest feeling in the world. And I had my like bootstrap version, and then Tom shared the Tango Ontario one with me, and it's like formatted nice. So it's really nice, but super simple stuff. 5 text messages a day, 5 Facebook messages a day, 5 Instagram DMs a day, like a voice note to every person that follows me and just thanking them for the follow and asking them if I can help them, posting on Instagram daily. And I've always been doing my email drip to my network the past 2 years, but getting better. And over at Team Wiley, they have done for you templates. Like I'm just like getting pushed the information. I cut a quick video and then it's done. So just very simplistic things. And then posting every reel that we do to over to YouTube. And like, I haven't even like focused on YouTube. I'll just put the reel up there, no captions, just like set it and forget it. And it's getting like 400 views per video. And yeah, it's not 20,000, but like that's 400 people seeing my face that they wouldn't see otherwise.
Yeah, that's amazing. I always think like with that, you've already created the content. You might as well put it on the other platforms. And I'm always harassing Tom to be like, hey, put that fucking video on YouTube. And he's like, it's not really getting anything there. I'm like, but it's another 50, it's another 200 sets of eyeballs. And you don't know that could be the person that then connects you to someone else. And it's another 5 million added to your book of business. So it's all these little things that seem simple, but they have that compounding effect once you start to stack them up. And then it also gives you that feeling like, hey, I've done a good day's work because I've checked my boxes here. That's what I like about like things like our ask challenges. Like I used to sit at the end of the day and be like, okay, my pipeline's X. This is the number of brokers with us and shit like that. And be like, I could do more. And I'd be sitting there with my family and be like, I can add more, and never feeling satisfied. And now I'm like, okay, I've done my day's work and the box is checked. If I want to add more, I can. It's just gravy at that point though, but it's not coming from that feeling of need. It's coming from a feeling of abundance, which you talked about as well. And I do want to transition just quickly to that because I think you probably experienced this, but I'm sure you have a whole different mindset about yourself and about the industry than you did going back October 2024.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm spiteful to my fault. Like I was jaded. It was frustrating doing the fulfillment business and the issues that I had with the brokers and stuff. And I just wanted out. I gave Ryan and my wife the 6 months commitment. I'm like, let's do it. And now I have a completely different like thought. Like I was on the other end of fulfillment, but looking at it from this set of eyes, like how any broker that's producing, let's say 10 million in a year, you got to get fulfillment. Like every industry icon, like Scott Peckford, Ryan Wiley, you guys, everyone says get fulfillment. And we all hear it and we're like, yeah, that's for like top producing guys. It is honestly the best. And I wouldn't even like barter for cost. Like I know from being on that side of things, like the industry has spoken and the rate's lower than what I was charging at this time. But the lady I hired, like we didn't even go back and forth. I just said like, I feel that you're worth like way more than what industry standard is. So like, let's do that. And she was kind of caught off guard by it. But I mean, like, that's the most like important thing. And it's just surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So the culture, and I don't get to see all the Tango Ontario stuff because I'm in BC, but the culture that's getting created here on this small community, I've been at a lot of labels for brokerages and I feel like I found home with Tango. You guys, Ryan, Jason Henneberry, like they're all like-minded individuals. And then the culture on Team Wiley, like we meet once a day in the morning just for like a bullshit. Like, you know, we didn't have it for a week over spring break. It felt like something was missing from the day. So just being around like those types of personalities and having an abundance mindset, I look at the industry completely different now than I did in October of last year.
It's very easy to have like a negative mindset with the broker space right now, how it's been in the last couple of years, like banks eating our lunch with rates and losing deals, the market just not really being strong. Like there's so many reasons to be negative, but having that abundance mindset, if you have that, it's a game changer because there is business to be had. And that's why I like having like those big guns on our team too, because there's strategy that we can evolve in our business and tap into. And that's what brokers need today. It's only going to get there even further of really needing that strategy. But I really want to break down your non-negotiables. And I know you're kind of doing 555. It sounds like for a lot of your DMs. Did you start at 5 or did you start like at a lower number?
5 was the absolute minimum. Sometimes if I was on a roll or I have a newborn or a young daughter at home, so like sometimes I'm strapped for time. You know what? Like everyone says we're so busy and people, they find things to do even though they're not busy. So like to do like my non-negotiables, like if I was to hit like a timer and do it, I'd probably crush it out in like 30 to 40 minutes. I could be doing more for sure. And sometimes I do more just because I have the time. But like 5, sure, it seems like a steep number and daunting to some people. But like, come on, like it's 5 Facebook messages, it's 5 Instagram DMs. Like it's very like childlike numbers in my opinion. So I did a couple webinars the last couple of months for financial advisors. I upped it then to like 20 just because I wanted to drive traffic to the webinar. But the 20 opens a day compounded. Like I've been tracking like my opens since like January. And like we're sitting around 10,000 like interactions since then, just with like the email, the opens and all that stuff. So like 555, whatever, it's a good number. It's easy. It's manageable. You can still have like a life outside of that.
Are they custom for every one of them or are they all templated? I know you do voice notes, but
yeah, the voice notes to the realtors and the followers obviously are custom. It's a mix. I would say like it's a 60-40 custom to templated because right now, like anyone who's in a mortgage from, 5% and higher, like they're primed to refi. So like that one's kind of templated. It's like, hey, look, if you're 5% or higher, or you just signed a mortgage like in the last 4 months, like let's talk, let's have a chat, like no strings, 15 minutes in and out. Let's see if we can save you some money.
Would you say that's the one that's had the biggest impact out of all like the different messages that you've had?
I would say it's had a big chunk. Like I have a couple amazing industry partners, like financial advisors who have high net worth clients. They're not rate sensitive, but like they don't want to step over thousands of dollars, right, and look past it. So, like I had a client last month. It was a $980,000 mortgage. They were in a 6.84 with a big bank. We broke it. We paid the $15,000 IRD, and they still saved like $81,000 over the 31 months remaining. So those ones obviously help the pipeline, right? Like big dollar value mortgages help. So
yeah, that's awesome. When you get those clients too, it sounds terrible, but they seem to have a greater financial knowledge and they're more willing to see that. Whereas some people like penalty and their alarm bells go off and they don't give the grace of allowing you to explain the strategy, versus sometimes the higher net worth people have more financial acumen. And it seems like it should be a harder pitch because it's a bigger mortgage, but it ends up being easier because they understand the nuts and bolts about how things work.
For sure. Like early on in my career, I would be so frustrated when I would work with the client or I would pre-approve them and they would leave for like 10 or 15 basis points. And that's happening right now. You see it on Facebook, like brokers ranting and raving. I'm a big believer in what Henneberry and Ryan Wiley are doing at Strategy Hub. Like I'm not losing deals for rates. I've lost one, but that was a mistake on my part, not having both applicants on the call, and the husband pulled the strings at the 11th hour. But like outside of that one file in the last 6 months, I've been winning them, and I've been 50 basis points higher. I've been almost a full percent higher because like, you know, the advanced strategies made simple for a consumer. Like we're flipping the script completely and saving our clients, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's like, hey, you can have your big blue mortgage at 3.89 today, or you can come with me for 4.24. But this is what I'm going to do for you over the next 13 years. And I will guarantee you that when you call that bank back in 6 weeks, like that person's gone.
Yeah, we were just chatting earlier this afternoon, just really unpacking the Man One strategy and going deep on the team. And we've had Manulife come out a couple of times to our team calls and just trying to like show the power of this. And it's missed by so many people, brokers too, because they're like, oh, this layer of complexity. And we're like, hey, fuck, everyone on the team, spend an hour or two on the weekend, just get familiar with the strategy because we're going hard on this.
We're going fucking hard on the Man One.
When you do it, it changes the whole conversation. We always say the rate doesn't really matter. Now we're going to not just say it, we're going to show you that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And like, you know, there's always that like imposter syndrome, like, am I actually worth 50 basis points to this client? Like, how can I take this client from that bank and then pay that extra money over a term? And I got Swagger to my step now. I think we have the same contact at Manulife there. He's been an absolute like workhorse for me behind the scenes. And like, I'm honestly crushing the bank. And I had a colleague from the first responder world. He left the industry because he said that, you know, like he's getting crushed by the bank. It's hard. I'm loving it right now. Like these strategies, having them in the toolbox, and then working with clients who have the financial advisor, and maybe it's the acumen. But like I found that clients who have advisors, they get the whole like 30,000 foot financial view. Like today it might be more expensive, but 7 to 13 years from now, like they're mortgage free, they've saved X, Y, and Z. It's just been a different mindset shift for me, to say the least.
Are you working specifically with FAs, or are you still working with realtors as well? Like, what's your angle there other than your non-negotiables of DMs? Do you allocate a specific amount of time each day to connect with partners or new partners to prospect?
So I don't want to give all the tricks away for Team Wiley. Like if you want to know how to scale your business, join us at Team Wiley and the boys at Tango, Ontario. Like reach out to me and I'll make the connection. But it's one of the things that I got coached on was that, why am I going wide? I should just go deep. And I was doing this right before Brandon launched his Breaking Bread to Make Bread like series. I identified like my last 5 years of deals. Where did they come from? And like there's consistent realtors and financial advisors in there. So put the blinders on and I focused on those realtors. So going out for coffees, going, you know, for drinks. I think what kind of made this conversation happen was I went out with one of my top realtors one night, and then I showed up the next morning hung over on the call just because I wanted to like keep my non-negotiables going. But I'm just like fostering my, say, 12 relationships and just going really deep on those and just really building that relationship with them. And that's where the deals have come from now. Like I'm not trying to gain more realtors. I'm just trying to like improve the relationships I have with the current ones.
It makes such a huge difference on your business. And it's a ton of fun because you end up just working with your friends and you're like, okay, I enjoy hanging out with you. We do business together. I feed your family, you feed my family, and the circle just keeps going. Like I personally love it. Tom and I had the same thing where we were like, okay, we've gone wide. We've tried that. You know, it works to a certain degree, but it's just a whole mess of headaches and a barrage of dealing with people who don't know how to send the right leads, that kind of thing. Versus now we're fairly deep with the people we have and we're going even deeper. Like tomorrow I'm hitting the road, driving 2.5 hours. I've got like a lawyer lunch, realtor dinner, cocktails, coffees. The credit card just going to be tapping.
Tap, tap, tap.
But it's going to be like probably a 14, 16 hour day by the end of it. But I know that's going to have a huge positive impact on our mortgage book.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was out Thursday of last week. I had 3 stacked in one day. I was caffeinated up the ass with the coffees. And then I got 3 tomorrow, or no, on Wednesday. And what I found now is like the partners that I have, we had conversations really, how can we improve this? Or like, how can I help you? And now we're creating ecosystems around our world. So like the one FA I work with, he's like my go-to. He's a buddy of mine. He brought in his accountant partner. And then so I met with the accountant, and then the accountant's like, we should bring our lawyer in. So I'm almost at the point now where I might take a page out of Wiley's book and like get the dinner club going and like meet, once a quarter, nice steakhouse downtown, pick up the tab and just get like, 7, 8 high-end professionals in a room, like rub shoulders with them and see what can come from it. Right. And like, I was trying to build my business on realtors and it's exhausting. Like we all know it, like they're creatures of a different habit. Like they are up late. Like my one top realtor, because I'm an early riser and he's a late riser, our crossover hours was like 4:30 a.m. He was like just wrapping his night up and I was just starting my day. So that's when we were chatting and I'm like, wow, this is weird. The late night calls and their books are down. So my top realtors, I'm like, how can I help you? And we've got some strategies that we're employing inside those realtors' business that I'm trying to bring revenue to their business. And they're like, no person has ever done that for me as a mortgage broker. And then I'm like, that's why we work together. Like, that's the value add, folks. Like, that's where I bring the money to the table. We make bread, right?
Yeah. I'm putting you on the spot with percentages here. You might not know it, but if you had to like break down the volume that you've had in 2025 in terms of the percentage of where that business came from, do you know where that would come from? Like whether it's realtors, past clients, client referrals, FAs, do you have a good idea of like what that percentage looks like?
I would say it's like even split, like a third to realtors, a third to FAs, and a third just to like my COI. Like Vancouver and Toronto, we're the same. Like real estate's a hobby and everyone's like, oh, no one's buying. I'm like, well, that's interesting because I have like 5 purchase files like on the go right now. So people are buying. Like, yeah, sure, there's stuff going on down south and there's uncertainty, but like if people are getting married or people getting divorced or families are growing, like people got to move and buy. So abundance mindset again, like it's out there. So I'm almost thinking like I'm probably going to double down on like my FA and accountant partners just because it's a different client, right? Like the COFs, like purchase files, like they're fun, but COFs add a layer of complexity. And as we get busier, like lender turnaround time gets longer and longer. And now, we're fighting turnarounds.
Yeah, we always say that like purchases, it's kind of like doing drugs. I'm not advocating doing drugs, but like purchases are really addictive. And you're like, okay, it's kind of fun to feel this buzz and be like chain smoking and getting through this like stressful period. And then you have the refis, which sometimes they're just like cruising and you feel like, I'm not really doing too much on that, but then all of a sudden they fund and you're like, oh, that was easy.
I was just saying that to you last week where I was like, man, I feel kind of like down on the pipe right now. And then I was looking back, I was like, well, actually it's not. It's just we're a bit lower on purchases and the refis are up. And the refis almost don't feel real sometimes because like the purchase is just like you got this like stress and anxiety with it. So I agree, like more refi and renewal business is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And that's not to say ditch your realtor partners. I think what you're doing right now is keeping that core unit tight, going deep with them, and then branching out to other referral partners or just doubling down on your database or social. I agree. That's kind of what I'm doing right now too.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you for coming on and sharing with us today. I'm stoked to have you back on because I know you have a few other things in the works. So we'll circle back in 6 months or so or see what the full 2025 looks like. Hopefully you're hitting that 50, 60 million goal you have. But congrats, buddy. I'm stoked to see your renewed optimism and enthusiasm for the industry. And it's awesome to have you be a part of Tango, contributing to our culture here.
Thanks, fellas. And I'll leave one last thought here. So, brokering can be a lonely world. If anyone's listening to this and they want to like take their business to the next level, like DM me on Instagram. You can find me and I'll hook you up and you can have a chat with Ryan about Team Wiley and Tango because I think it's the team to join. It's transformational for your business.
Thanks, man. We're not paying Scott, by the way.
No payment was paid for that, but we will definitely take it. Thank you, Scott. Cheers, man.
Okay, thanks, boys.